difference now compared to what we used to be able to do, and it's coming back around a little bit to that now, is that I love to be able, back in the day, to start a solo sound, for example, start it with one sound and change it somewhere along the line and let it kind of merge into something else.
Sure, like morphing, audio morphing.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
And you can still do that. I don't hear a lot of people today doing that, but that was a thing I used to love to do in the past that I have not been able to do with virtual instruments because you don't have that kind of control.
Right. It's like if you're in that record mode, you know, it's not going to allow you to change the alterations of it. You know, I think we'll probably have to go back to the hardware, the external boards to do that, I'm thinking.
Well, they got instruments now that'll do it. I mean, you know, and record everything that you do, or even live, you can adjust the sound. You know, if you get that kind of synthesizer that allows that kind of control,
sure,
you want to do that. So it's sort of coming back around a little bit.
Right. Man, for your touring, I mean, I know you're doing so many concerts. You know, looking at your website, you're doing a lot of benefit concerts. You know, the upcoming CD tours. Generally, on an average, how long does it take you to prepare for a tour?
It depends on what I'm doing. You know, the dates I did with Shaka, we basically did one rehearsal. I brought the band into my studio. We rehearsed for a couple of hours and then went and did it. Now we're doing, I mean, I've done some days with Shaka where we did her full, you know, R&B pop show. That's a different thing.
Right.
The show that I've been doing recently is with my trio, which is just, you know, upright bass and electric both. And me just playing piano or Fender Rhodes.
Right.
And that's the show, and a drummer. And she's singing a lot of her jazz material, which is a little different than what she normally does, so she's digging it because it gives her another way of looking at music and something, you know, different to do. And so that's been working out pretty well, and it's sort of started to circulate among promoters now. I say, oh, really? That's happening. So we're starting to get other offers now.
Oh, nice.
But normally, you know, I use a group of musicians who I've worked with for a long time, and I don't need to rehearse that much.
Right.
I came in and rehearsed for a couple of days before I went to this last European tour because I wanted to do a Frank Zappa tribute.
Right.
I wanted to add a couple of tunes and stuff for this DVD that I'm doing that we hadn't been doing. And it took me a couple of days. We came in and rehearsed, especially the Zappa material.
Right.
Which is, you know, you're not just going to walk in and play that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Zapp, man, he's on another level with his production.
Yeah, not the more involved stuff. You're just not gonna. It's just not gonna happen.
Right.
There's so many different time signature changes. You got to understand what you're doing.
Right.
So it took us a couple of days to really knock that out. You know.
Right. You know, I think, you know, your ability as a player, you know, for me, I think it changes over time. You know, doing from like the 70s, and even for me growing up, pretty much predominantly playing in the 80s. I think my style would. And as the keyboard players changes, my ear got better and more mature. You know what I mean? It's like you listen to so many different genres. I think that's what's keeping me and other players moving. Is just the amount of music that we have around us surrounds us. You know, because I try not to limit myself to just, you know, R&B or hip hop. You know, I try to keep my mind open to like rock, you know, pop, jazz, definitely, blues, funk.
Man, it can only help you. You know, it's funny, man. Back in the day, I used to have musicians say, "Man, why you want to learn how to read music? Why you want to learn all this other stuff?" And I said, "Because I want to be a comprehensive musician. You know, there may be certain things I'm stronger at,
right,
but I want to know what's going on there, so I might want to include it in my musical palette, in my arsenal.
Definitely.
You know, and so if I need to incorporate some of that, I can."
Right.
Cannonball Adderley, who's an incredible saxophonist who's no longer with us, told me that he says he used to bring me over to his house and say, "Man, come here, man." He says, "I want you to hear something." And he played me some Brazilian stuff by Milton Nascimento and some other things. He said, "Man, you need to listen to this because you need to include this in your arsenal."
Wow.
You know, those are the kind of musicians I work with. You know, Miles Davis used to tell me stuff. He said, "Hey, Duke, I want you to write me a tone bass around this chord. See that chord right there?
Yeah.
Do that." And so I said, "Oh, okay." And it'd be
right,
something out there, you know. That'd be one thing. You know, Frank Zappa used to tell me, man, he says, "George, you need to learn to play synthesizer.
Right.
You need to sing. You need to learn how to come out from behind those keyboards and let your personality out." I mean, you know, and those are all constructive for a young kid, things that I took to heart, you know,
Right.
and tried to become inclusive and not be so narrow. Because, man, Frank Zappa told me, he said, man, you are much too straight, jagged player. He says,
Right.
you need to open up.
Right, right.
And so that's why I'm as much of a gumbo as I am right now. Because of people like that.
Right. You know, I read a posting on your forum that you posted. It's probably one of the things I saw. It was kind of old, but it was real interesting. An observation.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Give me a little background. And I know it was dealing with your jazz background and, some of the critics out there.
Right.
Trying to, again, put us in a box of what they feel jazz should be.
Right.
I just think it's way off,
I tell you, Spud, I had no idea that this was going to elicit as much response as it did. And as a matter of fact, I planned to take it down a year ago. The problem is I keep getting emails, and it's continuing to this day. I have a whole host of other emails that I could put up, and I'll probably do it. This will be the last year for it, I promise everybody. But it's an interesting subject, and I started basically with the concept of saying that I've been working at a lot of schools and doing various things at schools and working with kids, and I noticed that there was a concerted effort among these students not to play Afrocentrically. Now, let me explain that a little bit. It's like these guys were playing solo, like classical players.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, it didn't matter what color they were. Black players, I said,
right.
It seemed like they weren't aware of the blues, or they weren't aware of what I call the ancient source.
That's right.
And I just wanted to know if anybody else realized that. Because I said, if you take that kind of, the Afrocentricness of jazz out of it, that takes out what I love about jazz.
Yes. Yeah.
I said, what makes jazz work to me, all of that, is the fact that you got the Afrocentric thing and the European element put together. And that's what makes it very interesting and makes it work. If you take one from the other, I'm not sure it works as well, at least for me. So I was wondering if anybody else noticed it. Man, the amount of emails I got was phenomenal. Everything from people accusing me of being the problem with music today to, people agreeing with me and people going much further than I went, talking about the subject matter. Very, very interesting. And I still encourage people to write in and weigh in on the subject.
Right. No, I totally agree.
Whether musicians are abandoning that and why.
Right.
And there were a lot of interesting thoughts on why.
I believe it. We'll leave that alone. I'm sure
that's a deep subject, man.
It is. With the responses they were getting, I was like, man, this is totally amazing. And it was real cool for you to come out and, post that, because a lot of times, artists, not knowing the personal business, but, they kind of shy away from the fans and really not to let us what's going on within your music world. And that was real cool that you shared that with everybody. That was real inspired for me again.
Yeah. Oh, I've had people, you want to leave it alone? I'll leave it alone.
We'll do that in another show, man.
Okay, cool, you got it.
Well, George, man, I do appreciate the time that you've taken with this interview, man. Seriously, this is really a dream come true for me. I really can't thank you enough. And, again, you inspired me so much as a keyboardist, man. I just really want to take my hat off to you to thank you. How you inspired me as, being my Obi-Wan Kenobi as a keyboard player. So.
Well, I look forward to hearing your stuff, man. Monica was telling me about it.
Oh, lovely, man. I'm working on some stuff now that I'm just kind of putting my own instrumentals together, man. It's definitely a heavy George Duke influence track, and I definitely want to get that to you so you can check it out. So, man, please don't be a stranger. I'd love to have you back on the show and chop it up with me again, and we'll keep it going.
All right, Spud. Appreciate everything you're doing, man.
All right. Thanks a lot for calling, George.
All right.
Take it easy.
Later.
What a great interview. Man, George is the man. What a cool dude, man. It was just real cool, man, chopping it up with him, man, for a half hour. Really seeing for me, it was like seeing the other side of it, man. He's done everything and produced everybody, and just to have that input and to see his thoughts on the business and the direction of composing and really taking music and just making yourself a better musician was really a life experience for me. And I can't thank him enough for coming on the show and chopping it up with me. Please hit his website up. He has a great website that I think it'll be really informational for everybody who knows about George Duke and for the listening audience who are new to the George Duke.